The world might feel a bit more chaotic and a bit more divided. It's easy to forget sometimes that there are constants. Your home's still your home, your family's still your family, and all the structures of our society are still there to look after you if you need it.
Here we go. George's recess.
Adult male, code red trauma, 10 minutes.
Activate the helipad.
There's been an explosion on a building site.
Heart rate 200.
Open your eyes, open your eyes.
Imagine having to work here.
Hello, Annie, can I help?
St George's, London.
It's all gonna kick off now.
One of Britain's busiest A&E departments.
Are we ready to roll?
Carry on CPR.
Oh, goodness me, it's all happening, isn't it?
We need to fix that, or you won't survive.
Is it?
A place where life,
Would you say I was fit, Doctor? Honestly, I think I'm quite fit.
love,
You are my everything. I love you, and it's okay.
and loss
Oh, Mum. I'm so sorry.
unfold every single day.
For every bad thing that you see, there is something equally wonderful out there.
Filmed across one 24-hour period, these are the stories of a nation and its health service.
I thought I was going to die.
You're definitely not going to die. You've got too many good doctors and nurses here.
When people experience really significant illness or injuries, we see people pull together, we see relationships get stronger, and we see people reflect on what really is the most important things in their life.
Whatever happens, it's going to be okay.
I love you.
Love you too.
My daughter rung me up and asked me, can we go out for a bike ride? I'd planned it so that it was mostly on country lanes and go to a pub and have something to eat together. I was leading, and I had to keep an eye on my mirror so that I didn't lose her. But there was a slight detour to my trip. So instead of being on the country roads, we entered the A3 in Guildford. There was cars filtering in from my left, so I moved over to the outer lane. Then I looked in my mirrors. It seemed like a brief second later. There were no cars behind me. Nothing. And where's Hazel? Gone. Completely gone.
A&E recess. St George's. St George's, yep. A trauma call. Is it a male or female? Okay, have you got any obs for me? Rest for 16.
A 22-year-old woman is being rushed to St George's after crashing her motorbike at 50 miles an hour on a dual carriageway.
Okay, what's her GCS? 15. Okay, and what's your ETA, please? 10 minutes, okay. Thank you very much.
Trauma, ETA 10 minutes.
Dr. Laura is working in resus today.
With motorcyclist injuries, we'd think about the head and the spine, the neck. Have there been any potential fractures or damage to the spinal cord? And there's always possibility of severe internal bleeding.
This is a 50-mile-an-hour bike. Gone into central reservation. Pelvic
Stable or
binder.
unstable?
Blood pressure's 92 systolic. She's got pulse,
Okay, unstable.
pulse of 80.
The woman's father was riding his motorbike with her.
Hazel wasn't there anymore. She wasn't the 100 yards behind me that she normally would be. I'm on a dual carriageway. I have to come back the other direction. And there's a great big wall between me and the other side of the road.
Laura, this one's a 22-year-old female who's been on a motorbike and has a blood pressure of 92 systolic.
And I'm standing up on the pegs of the bike to try and see over the top of the concrete wall. And I can't see her. All I can see is the flashing lights of the ambulance. And then my world fell apart.
Motorbike, come into here, please? Thank you very much. Laura, if you could book that for me and we'll get started. Hi, darling. I'm Georgie. Hazel. Nice to meet you. You're going to be just fine, Hazel, OK? All right, all right, darling. OK, guys, we are going to do a really gentle brace for this lady to come off her scoop, OK?
Ready, set, brace.
Beautiful, thank you, team. Let's get a handover, please.
This is Hazel. She's a 22-year-old female.
Yeah.
She was riding a motorbike on the A3, travelling approximately 50 miles an hour. She was hit from behind by a car, skidded along the floor for approximately 27 yards, hitting the central reservation, which is concrete.
Yeah.
Her blood pressure on her arrival was 121/71.
Yeah.
It dropped to 91 systolic and then to 81 systolic.
Thank you very much. Just repeat the blood pressure.
When we see a patient coming in who's had particularly a high impact collision and their blood pressure starts to drop, that would be an indicator for us that this person might have significant internal bleeding.
Do you know where you are at the moment? Fine, good. Deep breaths in and out for me.
For these patients, absolutely every moment counts. If they have a life-threatening injury and you don't find that quickly enough, it can be a life or death situation.
If I just do that very gently, does that cause pain?
Just to the right hand side.
So she's got some right hip pain on that side of the pelvis. Is that sore in your ankle? Yeah?
OK, we're going to get an under trolley pelvis, OK? And an under trolley chest, then we're going to go around for CT, abdo pelvis at the moment. Yeah. Hazel, you're OK, sweetheart.
Sorry, I'm just...
Don't say sorry.
Being a wimp.
You're not being a wimp. You're not being a wimp at all, OK? I'd be pretty much worse than you at the moment. But we need to do our tests, OK?
Yes.
Because we're just worried about you.
Yep.
Any medical problems I need to be aware of?
No.
Amazing, great. We're going to get you sorted, all right?
I'd never worried about my daughter until that point. She's the most precious thing in my life. I genuinely thought she would die before I got there.
He's been settled from a hemodynamic point of view, apart from on movement. So if we can just be smooth and steady on the transfer, that would be lovely.
Hazel is having an urgent CT scan after crashing her motorbike at 50 miles an hour on a dual carriageway. Doctors are concerned she may have internal bleeding and life-changing head and spinal injuries.
Okay, so we've got a slight lift there, if we can just be extra smooth.
OK.
Okay, so on slide, ready, steady, slide.
Her father, Grant, is on his way to St George's.
Hazel, she's got a character in spades. She was a bit of a tomboy. A girly tomboy, if you like.
Go on side, ready, steady, slide.
That's fine.
Great. All right, darling, we'll be back to stay in just a moment. Take care.
She liked the rough and tough. She joined the Scouts, not the Brownies. She liked the idea of getting out there and doing all the things that boys could do.
This is Hazel.
Yeah.
All connected, happy? Yes.
One of the things she wanted to do when she was younger was to be like her mum, to be a police officer. She's in British Transport Police, and she's achieved that goal. I feel that she's quite brave to do that, and I'm immensely proud of her.
Breathe in and hold your breath.
My daughter has achieved things that I didn't achieve in my life. She's had a happy childhood. I can't say that mine was. My parents split apart when we were very young. My mum brought us up on our own. It was hard. I did love my father. He wasn't a horrible man, but he certainly wasn't a dad. He didn't engage with us in any way whatsoever. He didn't teach me how to ride a push bike. He didn't teach me how to change a puncture. I wanted to engage with my children. I wanted to share their life. I didn't want to be my dad.
We're going to give you a special injection of an X-ray dye. Yeah. What it does is it circulates around your body and allows us to see everything while we do the scan.
Yeah.
All right?
I met my wife, Laura, In 1990, my brother was in Australia and I was looking after his house. And I saw a note under the door and it said, "Look, I'm your new neighbour." I knocked on the door and I said, "My brother's away for a month." She had curly blonde locks and I thought she was quite pretty. And I came back the next evening in my biker gear and I said, "Look, would you like to go out for a drink?" After 9 weeks, I proposed to her. And then 3 months after that, we were married.
Breathe in and hold your breath.
We were married for about 5 years before we had a family. And I always wanted a boy and a girl. In my head, I just wanted this perfect nuclear family, if you like. We had Ewan first, and he was the perfect baby. Hazel was born a year and a half later, and I was so happy. I cried my eyes out when she was born. I couldn't believe that I had a boy and a girl.
What are we wearing on our pelvis?
Pelvis is the main concern. And a right ankle as well, yeah, but we've not particularly done that route just yet. Great, thank you.
Well done. Great.
Hazel's seen me ride bikes all my life, and once she actually could put her feet on the pegs of the bike, she would go out with me, and she loved it. We bonded over the bikes, I think, in a lot of ways. She liked the fact that I raced a bike. My daughter riding a motorcycle was something that I worried about. You're incredibly vulnerable on a motorcycle. If you have an accident, it can be life-changing, and I know how bad it can be because it nearly killed me.
Ready, steady, slide.
All right, perfect.
Specialist doctors must now assess Hazel's CT scan to determine the severity of her internal injuries.
If you had a £5 note and you'd spent £1.11, what change do you get?
Oh, that's easy. That would be £4. I mean...
Yeah?
No, yeah? No, it'd be £3.88.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 89. £3.89.
You're cleverer than I am.
Let's play I Spy.
Okay, let's play I Spy. I spy with my little eyes something begin with P.
Pig?
Pig? Can you see pig here?
St George's. Go for it. Yep. With a AAA. Yep. How well is he? Perfect. Cheers, mate.
An 86-year-old man is being urgently transferred from another hospital with a suspected AAA, a ruptured aneurysm in his abdomen.
Can I speak to the vascular reg on call, please? Hi, it's Paul from Resus. Hannah, mate, they're 10 minutes away.
Vascular Dr. James is on call.
A AAA is a swelling of the aorta in the abdomen. The aorta is the largest blood vessel in the human body. Much like your garden hose, as a tube swells, the wall becomes thinner and thinner, and that thin wall is liable to rupture. If it ruptures, someone can bleed to death extremely quickly.
The man's daughter, Angela, is travelling with him in the ambulance.
I was just about to go to bed when I got a phone call from Sally, my sister, at 10:30, saying I've got a paramedic on the phone. Dad's had a fall. We were told it was more than likely a fractured hip. And after doing more and more tests, they realised that it was really serious. And he'll have to be transferred to St George's. That's when we thought, oh my goodness.
Hello, John.
Yeah?
My name's Alex. I'm one of the doctors. We're going to look after you. We just need to move you across to our bed. So if you keep your arms in the middle, and we'll talk you through it, and we'll bring you across. 1, 2, 3.
I might go up a bit as well, just because his feet are hanging off the end.
OK, so we'll go again on my call on 3, guys. 1, 2, 3. There we go. He's very tall. How tall are you, John? Do you know? Do you know how tall you are? You're very tall. Yeah. Must be more than 6 foot.
Oh, 6 foot 2.
6 foot 2, very good.
So, basically, John fell around 5:30 yesterday evening.
Yes.
Was picked up by CCAM about 10 o'clock-ish. He had a repair of his AAA 15 years ago.
Okay.
He's very mobile, very independent. Walks the dog every day. He takes no medication at all, but took himself off it about 6 or 7 years ago. Hasn't seen a GP in that length of time and just basically takes turmeric, which is what he swears by. His daughter is with him and son, he followed in the car. I will go and get him booked in for you.
Thanks, Laura.
No worries.
Because the aorta supplies an awful lot of different areas of the body, including the organs within the tummy, the pelvis and the legs. All of these assessments have to be done in a really time-critical manner because any time that you wait, it can lead you in a really serious situation and it can kill you.
Hello, hi there, you're right. Not too bad.
My name is James, I'm one of the vascular surgery registrars. I've been hearing all about you.
He's very deaf.
How's the pain in your tummy?
Yeah.
Is it still there?
Yeah.
All right. The pain that you've got at the moment, is it getting better or worse than it was? Worse. Is it all in the middle of your tummy or is it going through to your back? In the middle of your tummy?
Yeah.
Have you got pain anywhere else at all?
My legs.
Your legs. Both legs or just one leg?
Both legs.
Both legs. All right. I'm just going to start by feeling your tummy, all right?
Yeah.
Is that sore?
Yeah.
And is it sore in the middle of your tummy? Going to have to do a scan.
Yeah.
The night he went into hospital, he had still walked the dog. So I think I was just in shock. I kind of felt that this can't really be happening.
I'm just going to pop down this side of the bed, all right?
86-year-old John is having an urgent CT scan for a suspected AAA. Doctors need to work quickly in case the aneurysm bursts, causing potentially fatal internal bleeding.
OK, so everyone's ready. On 3, 1, 2, 3.
John's son Andy and daughter Angela are waiting in the relatives' room.
My dad was born in 1933. He was the second of 4 siblings.
You OK there, John? You OK there?
During the war, his brother James died. He was killed on patrol. So his mum wrote a letter and asked for my dad not to go into national service and actually go to war abroad because she doesn't want to lose 2 sons. And so he stayed in Aldershot in England at their army barracks.
My dad basically put the army uniform on for 6 weeks and never put it on again because after the 6 weeks basic training, they got him in around the running track to represent the army around the country doing track and field events.
He was a long jumper, he was a sprinter. I know he was quite quick.
In his house, he's got over 50, 60 medals, and there's only 3 of them which are second or third. The rest of them were all firsts.
Okay, John, just going to start the injection. Keep nice and still.
My parents met as part of a big group of friends when he used to go dancing in the Riddle Hall. That would have been in the mid-50s. They did a lot together. They used to do a lot of jiving and they used to put themselves in competitions.
Breathe in and hold your breath.
Dad liked my mum because my mum's very opinionated. And I think he was attracted to the spark that she was as fit as he was.
Breathe in and hold your breath.
They got married in the March. My sister was born in the September. 3 or 4 years later, me and Andrew came along as twins, which was probably quite a shock to them. Our childhood was very much outdoors. He used to take us for such long walks. We always had a cup of tea and a piece of cake afterwards.
Breathe normally.
He always gave you his time. For instance, if we needed the puncture mended on our bike or the chain mended, we had to do it, and he would show us how. I was 7. I came back from school one day, and my mum, she said that your dad's gone.
I can always remember that being quite a traumatic time.
I don't see any endoleak. It's not coming from the aneurysm.
So what's driving it then?
It's a psoas bleed.
Just because a bleed isn't from an aneurysm doesn't mean that it can't cause a patient a problem. The psoas is one of the muscles in the back of the abdomen wall and extends down into the leg. The issue behind the psoas is it sits very close to the aorta in the abdomen. The psoas bleed can be a dangerous situation because you can bleed a relatively good amount into the psoas muscle. And any sort of internal bleeding can be life-threatening, and that's why we take it so seriously.
John, all done. So we're just going to take you back to resus now, okay?
Are you sleeping on this side?
Well, when you sleep, you don't know where you're going to sleep, do you?
Oh my gosh. Jackie, I just see my payslip for this month.
Is it on there?
Yes.
I'll have a look.
Oh, it's very nice. Maybe I'll stick to doing them 2 nights.
I have to put a little tattoo on you. Gonna put it here. I'm just gonna put it there. I'm gonna put a little L for left. And I'll just put my initials as well, so they know who marked it. Do you like your tattoo?
You've been very, very brave. You're the best patient of the day so far.
Hello, ED Resus. Hi, it's Laura, one of the ST3s in Resus today. So this lady, she has had some C-spine tenderness, some pelvic pain on the right side.
22-year-old police officer Hazel was off duty when her motorbike collided with the central reservation of a dual carriageway. Doctors are concerned she has sustained internal bleeding and life-changing head and spinal injuries. They are awaiting the full results of her CT scan.
She had a CT head and neck, thorax, abdomen, pelvis.
Hazel's father, Grant, who was riding with her, has now arrived at St George's.
Oh dear, oh yeah, possum. You seriously worried me, Hazel.
I thought I was going to die.
I bet you did.
I could see you in the distance as well when I'd gone down.
What? Come on, why are you upset now? Tell me. Hazel, you did...
Reliving it.
I know, you will.
Scary.
You will. This is something you and I can understand. It goes through your mind.
I honestly thought I was going to die.
Yes, I've been there as well, and it's not nice. When I was younger, I got totally hooked on motorbikes. Biking was my social life. It was my life. That was everything, really.
Her brother Ewan and mum Laura have arrived in Resus.
Here's Ewan.
Hello, Hazel.
She keeps reliving the accident in her head.
They're all here, don't worry.
Come on, gonna be all right.
It's fine, we sat
Gonna be
down
all
for
right.
2.5 hours.
I'm in a lot of pain. You're in a lot of pain.
I was in my mid-40s. My kids were young and they were still at school. I decided to go to Liège in Belgium. We were going to do a road race. I'd never done a road race before.
So much pain.
I had spent a whole day running around, learning the route, trying to learn the route.
Is that bruised on your face?
Yeah.
And I was going way too fast. And I didn't even make the first corner. And there was a Renault Bégane in the middle of the road, on my side of the road. And I thought, I'm going to hit this car. I braked really hard. The bike came up into what's called a stoppie, so the back wheel was off the ground. And I went through the air. I put my back into the windscreen pretty hard and then went over the top of the car.
Dr. Laura now has the full results of Hazel's CT scan.
Hello there. Just to give a little bit of an update, so we have had the scan report back. The tummy, there's a very tiny amount of fluid down in the lower part of the abdomen, but given that you've had a high impact in a kind of event, we would just ask our surgical team to come and have a quick examination of the tummy. Now, when we've done an X-ray of your neck, each of the bones in the spine has little kind of sticky out bits that the tendons hold on to, and on one of the vertebrae, in the top part of your spine here, there is a small break on one of those kind of bits that sticks out. Well, I know it sounds upsetting. An injury to bones in the spine can potentially also cause an injury to the spinal cord within it. If the bone is broken, it's not going to be able to do its full job protecting the spinal cord within the bone. You're quite often looking at a very long-term recovery process.
Hello. Oh, sorry. Because I'm broken you.
Yeah.
Is it a plain CT there? Plain CT there. Is it a contrast one here? Contrast one here, and the contrast one's pretty definitive that we can't see endo leak or rupture.
John's initial CT report has revealed that he hasn't suffered a AAA, but is bleeding internally, and doctors are trying to find the source.
Hello, sir, we're just talking about you.
No?
We're just talking about you. You're a bit of a mystery.
What?
We're trying to figure out why you had a fall.
Oh.
How did you fall?
Bad.
Badly, yeah, that's true. Back in a minute.
When my mum said, your dad's gone, we never knew what was going on. We weren't allowed to know.
As a father figure, for me, he was a shining light in my life. I was worried that I wasn't going to see him again. I think I probably played up quite a lot. And then my dad found out I was playing up a lot and come over and said, look, you da-da-da. And I said, well, just come home. Why aren't you? Why aren't you coming home? I can remember coming home from school and his car was outside. I can remember running into the house, and I can remember my mum saying, "Your dad's moved back in."
Because we weren't allowed to ask too much about why he had gone, we didn't ask too much about why he was back.
They got back together, and they were together till my mum died.
Vascular Dr. James now has the full report of John's CT scan.
Sorry to wake you with a start.
It's all right now. It's all right.
We've got the scan result back. There's a big hematoma, which just means a big collection of blood inside your tummy, tracking up one of the muscles that's sitting there. I must admit, it's not a great position to be in because we don't have an easy fix.
No.
All right?
Yes.
Is it okay if I speak to your family as well?
Yeah, I don't mind, yeah.
Okay, I'll come and have a chat to them now as well. All right?
Yeah.
Hello. Hello. Right, so we've had the scan and the area of the aneurysm. There's no actual evidence that it's ruptured. There is, however, a bleed in one of the muscles of the back, which is inside the tummy, called the psoas, and it's quite a large bleed. So after quite a lot of toing and froing, what we think would be best at the moment is to try to correct all the problems that we're seeing with the bloods not clotting correctly, with the acid in the blood being incorrect as well, and see, by doing that, if he gets better.
Yeah.
Right, a lot more going on than we first thought, isn't there?
Yes, and us all, to be honest. We will do our damnedest for him.
Thank you.
But I think we all have to be realistic. This is a really serious situation, and we are really very worried. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. After my mum died, she died in 2007, he invited all of us round for fish and chips.
We all sat down, he went and got the fish and chips, and when he went out the door, he gave us all an envelope.
We opened the envelope and it was a letter that he had received explaining that he had a daughter and she wanted to get in contact with him and maybe meet up. We were really surprised and we were all quite shocked.
Work with a bit of fun, you know?
You got to do in the hospital, haven't you?
Yeah, man.
I've got a bit of your bike, Hazel.
Yeah, Dad, don't really want to see that, do I?
Are you in pain, my love?
Yeah, can I have some more painkillers, please?
Police officer Hazel has injuries to her hip, leg, and suffered a spinal fracture after a motorbike collision. Doctors also need to rule out any internal injuries after her blood pressure dropped dangerously low.
Right, darling, just let that work. Take some nice big deep breath. Let me know if you start feeling unwell.
Thank you very much.
You're happy for me to take off the collar and just do a clinical examination of the C-spine now?
Yeah, just get to move ahead.
Hello. Right, we can take this collar off on the neck. All right, so just get nice and still for me. Sorry.
Oh, I'm so nervous. Okay.
So you might be quite stiff and sore.
Yeah.
All right, now just leave your head where it is for the moment.
I walked away from that road race in Belgium perfectly okay. I didn't break any bones. I thought, wow, I'm here. And then I came home and Laura sat me down and said, "You had that accident." I was so frightened. And gradually she got more upset, and I realised that me doing that, putting myself at risk like that, had affected her far more than it had affected me. And I think her and my daughter said, "Look, come on, that's a little bit too much."
So I think we can get rid of that one. All right, well done.
Oh, look at that, eh? I decided not to do road racing anymore. That is one danger too far that I couldn't take. I have children, I have a wife. But I wouldn't want to stop biking completely. It's like a hole in my soul if I haven't got a motorbike. The risk is not quite the same as road racing. Road racing, you're going much faster. That's a risk I wasn't willing to take again.
All right, and just where we are, tell me if it's painful at all when I press.
Oh, yeah, very. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, OK. And I'm just gently going to press down the front of the shin. You tell me if it's sore at all when I press.
Oh, yeah,
Sore in there. Sorry, sweetheart. And on the inside? Sore in there. OK, all done, all done. All right. I'm so sorry, darling.
No, just be you crybaby.
You're not at all,
You're
my
being brave,
word.
actually.
OK, doke. So let's get an X-ray of that ankle and also of the pelvis on this side.
Is she going to be staying in overnight?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, no problem.
Being a parent is the most important job you'll ever do in your life. Things will get sorted out. We're here, we'll cover your back. We're here to help you. That's what families do. Hazel, she wants to share her life with me, which is lovely because quite a lot of sons and daughters don't do that. What I want is for her to be the best version of her that she can be. And if she achieves that, that's a win. I hope that when I get to my dotage, that they love their dad and they respect their dad in a way that I couldn't with my father. See you later, okay?
Hazel will be taken for further x-rays and then to a ward where doctors will decide if surgery is needed to treat any of her injuries.
How you doing?
Hi, Dad.
Well,
Never seen you with many tubes in you.
what happened anyway?
Hmm?
What happened anyway?
Well, you called an ambulance.
Eh?
You called an ambulance. You called an ambulance.
Oh,
Because you fell over. Didn't you?
yeah.
Yeah.
John has serious internal bleeding, and vascular Dr. James is trying to find the source.
So we get you out of here and you can come and stay for a couple of weeks, get you better. Okay?
Yeah.
And everyone can come round and see you.
Huh?
Everyone can come round and see you.
Yeah.
Aye.
We had a half-sibling that we didn't know we had up until that letter. I said she must be about 7 years younger, and he said, yeah, she is. And all the pieces of the puzzle fell into place as to why he left.
My first thing was, why didn't you tell us when she was younger? Why didn't you bring her around when she was younger? You warm enough?
Hey?
You warm enough?
Yeah.
She'd obviously written to my dad and had wanted to meet him years before, but my mum had refused for it to happen. And then after my mum had passed away, he then told us. He thought we should know.
Hi guys, morning. I'm Alex, I'm one of the A&E doctors. What I'd like to do is I'm just going to re-examine you.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Can you wiggle this foot for me?
Hey?
Can you wiggle your toes? Do your feet feel different?
Yeah.
I've never seen his feet that colour before. He's normally quite lively.
Yeah.
I've got no feeling.
No feeling?
No feeling.
You can't feel it?
No.
Okay.
Dad took me and my sister Sally to meet Alison about 6 to 8 weeks after we first found out. I felt quite happy to actually meet her. We met up a few times since, but it was really odd finding out about it at that kind of later stage. I wish I'd met earlier. If she had been introduced to us, we'd have been closer. It would have been more normal for us. Because as a child, you naturally build bonds, don't you? But it didn't change what I thought of him. What was done was done.
Hello? Hi, it's Alex just calling from recess about this chap, Mr. Bardell. He's very peripherally shut down, so his feet are basically cold and pulseless. He can't feel his right leg. We're just concerned that he's still actively bleeding from somewhere, probably into this hematoma. So he's going to ITU, is that right? Are you going to come down and grab him? Perfect. Thanks, Sam. Bye-bye.
You right, Dad?
Yeah.
Do you feel a bit better?
Yeah.
Good.
You've never had so many people look over you, have you?
Hey?
You never had so many people look over you.
No.
As a parent now, I always said I would bring my children up a bit differently. And they probably think the same with their children for my parenting as well. And yet, no one becomes a perfect parent, do they?
John will be taken to intensive care, where specialist doctors will decide if life-saving surgery is needed to stop his bleed.
I think Hazel was in a lot of pain. She was pretty beat up, and she thought that I'm never going to recover from this. She then convalesced with us, and we looked after her and pampered her, and she was our little girl again, and it was lovely, and I could be Dad.
I was so very lucky. I think if I wasn't wearing the kit that I was wearing, I either would have not been here or I could have been paralysed.
What do you think?
It's great. Very nice. I had so many people ask me, you know, are you going to stop riding now? I'm like, no. Of course not. It's what me and my dad have in common. I'm quite lucky that I have that relationship with my dad.
Can you reach the handlebars properly?
Yeah.
Excellent.
He's quite cool, isn't he? Don't tell him that, though.
Past 4 or 5 o'clock, he took a bit of a turn for the worse. I can remember saying to Richard, is there anything we can do? She went, no. I actually think he knew. I said, you all right with that? He said, yeah, it's time.
If I went round his house next week and I said to him, old Johnny from down the road died last night, Dad. He had a 36-hour illness and he just went with all his family around him, he'd have gone lucky sod.
I always looked at my dad as my light. My dad He's the family. He's the one who sits in the chair, steers the ship. I was thinking it's like an end of an era. Yeah. I think the light's gone out somewhere.